I'm going to share something really personal today. My whole life, I've just been on a yo-yo diet my entire life. I got so fucking sick of being fat, and I've just lost kilos. Sorry, 10 kilos in 4 months, and I did it effortlessly. And it wasn't because I suddenly became more disciplined, because I'm shit at discipline. It happened because I stopped fighting myself and I started building a healthy relationship with my body. And one shift changed everything.
If you're actively seeking ways to build your mental toughness, navigate life transitions with grace, or simply find inspiration to keep moving forward, then you're in the right place. Welcome to the Art of Beautiful Thinking podcast. Welcome to the Art of Beautiful Thinking podcast. My name is Yvette and I'm here with my co-host Kat. Now, before we begin, Kat is actually going to share something really personal. So over the last 4 months, Kat has actually lost 10 kilos, and not because she found the perfect plan. It happened because she repaired her relationship with her body. And a really big part of how she did that was working through our Authentic Life Blueprint, not as a weight loss plan, but as a way to uncover what was driving her patterns, rebuilding her self-trust and creating habits that actually felt honest and sustainable. So in this episode, what we're going to do is unpack what actually changed, and when you stop using control or punishment or discipline as your strategy and start building self-trust. So Kat, look, before we talk about the weight loss, what was the relationship with your body that you had
Oh,
before you
fuck, it
even
was
started any of
terrible.
this?
It was terrible. I hated myself, actually. I'm a very tall woman, right? I'm 6 foot tall, 182 centimeters. And my whole life, I have gone between times of extreme restriction and discipline when I've been really determined or heading for a goal. For whatever reason, I had a powerful reason why, and I could sustain it for a short period of time. Then I would lapse. Like I remember when I first got together with my husband, Joe, almost 10 years ago now in 2016, I'd lost about 25 kilos. And I felt $1 million and I looked $1 million because I'd gotten out of my relationship and I'd had my glow up and decided to look after myself. And then over the last 10 years, 40 kilos has crept on. And that is a lot of weight. And this has been the story of my life. My life has been times of intense exercise and discipline, and then times when I've just put weight on. So, um, and I couldn't break it. I couldn't break that cycle. It was just something that I felt owned me, and I just couldn't stop it. And in the end, actually, before you and I talked about it, I'd thrown my hands up and just gone, "Oh, fuck it, I'm fat."
Gosh.
That was
So
how I dealt with it.
if you had to name the voice then that was driving you, do you reckon it was pressure or guilt or perfection? What was it? What was that voice that was driving you?
To lose weight all those times.
Yeah. Or
Um,
even the voice about that you have to lose weight. That what was it? What was it that was driving you into that yo-yo?
well, interestingly, I tried to take a step back and observe what my patterns and habits and things were in the past. And I'd done quite a lot of work on this myself because I was like, oh God, I've got to fix this. It was always in the past, when I wanted to lose weight, it was for a specific thing, or because uh, it was always external stuff. So it was like, I want to look good for my wedding, or I want to look good for an event, or I'm going to be doing something and I want people to see that I'm lean and slim. I always did it for everyone else, really. I always did it because, and I didn't realize that I hadn't internalized, I'd internalized this. I always did it because I was worried about what other people would think about the way I looked. And I always felt like there was a voice in my head that I internalized from when I was a child that was actually my father's voice, because honestly, I haven't got a lot of time for my dad. He's a bit of a wanker, and I can say that. He's a gambling addict and he's been a fucking terrible dad my whole life. So he used to say to me, even when I was little, he used to work for a dairy, and he would bring home like yogurt and dairy and products and cheese and all the fattening stuff. And I mean, I was probably about 5 or 6 at this stage. I can remember being this young, and we'd all eat and I'd stuff my face and I wouldn't stop eating. And he would sit there going, "Oh, you're so fat. Why are you eating so much? What's wrong with you?" And that was what I learned from a young age. I think I internalized that I was just a fat kid, you know?
Right.
So I was struggling. I didn't realize this, but I was struggling to be slim, but my internal identity was, "You're a fatty."
So it was all about changing that internal identity. So that's what you started working on. Is that right? And the relationship with yourself?
Well, I didn't even, well, I mean, I did. There were times when I felt calm in my life and I felt driven to change and I felt like I was in control of things. And then I I started working on myself, and I felt good about myself, and I felt focused on myself, certainly, especially when I left my ex-husband and started changing my life. Interestingly, my father was on the scene at that time, and he became very encouraging, and we used to go to the gym together, and I found that weight loss and sustaining that effortless
Because
because
he
the
was
couple of
around,
times that
do you
hey?
think? Because he was around?
Because he was around. And
Right.
then that made me think, "Oh, maybe there's something to do with the void that I have inside myself. Why is it that I then fall off the wagon when he's not around?" Or, when I got into the relationship with Joe, we're both foodies. We love food and wine and things, but food and wine sort of it became the reward, and it's not the reward. It's not the reward. It's just fuel.
Yeah.
And it's nice to have a glass of wine and it's nice to have a bit of something, but I was very all or nothing. I would be on a diet and can't touch anything because if I have one glass of wine, I'm going to eat that whole cheese platter.
Yeah.
So it was just totally out of control. So I had to maintain tight control, tight discipline, an obsessive, um, like an obsessive hold over myself, which was all about lack, all about bullying myself
Yeah.
into doing what I needed to do. But I didn't actually understand or link all of this together. Like I did the workbook, I did the Authentic Life workbook, not about weight because it doesn't talk about weight. And I actually, this is my thing today. I said to our viewers, I said to Eva, we've got to tell people this side effect is amazing. So I did the Authentic Life workbook because Eva approached me and I was like, oh, I was just in a rut. And I was like, life is just, I'm just miserable. I've done a lot of different counseling and different things over the years and self-help stuff. And I was like, oh, I'm 52. It's all a load of shit. I'm so skeptical. Fuck it. I'm just like, oh, fuck it. Pass the wine. That was how I was. That was how I was. And I didn't realize. And like, I was like, and you were still going, oh, this can make you feel like you're really in charge of your life again. I'm like, these days are over. That's kind of how I felt.
So isn't it interesting though that your your view on when you were, as you said, it was either feast or famine. So your view was either I have to starve myself or do the whole calorie counting, and I can't enjoy even the small amount, or I'm
No,
all in.
couldn't trust myself. Could not
Yeah,
trust myself at
and
all.
and that to me is, I kind of look at it and I go, so you were trying to look healthy on the outside by behaving in this way externally, but actually wasn't kind of looking at what was going on the inside to see what you needed to do to change that behavior until you started working on yourself and
But
went,
I didn't make that
"Oh,
connection.
yeah,
I didn't
exactly." And
realize. Yeah, I thought
most people
weight
won't make
loss.
that connection.
No, weight loss is calories in, calories out. And,
Yeah.
we all, I mean, you show me a woman at our age, in our 50s, who doesn't know how to lose weight. We all fucking know. We all know
Oh,
what
we
we have to
do.
do.
We do.
We know what works. We know eat the lean protein. We know that stuff. The difficulty comes when discipline is exhausting. It's like carrying an iron weight on your back where you're forcing yourself and forcing, forcing, forcing. No one can do that forever. Enough weight will stop a train.
And I think that's the thing, is it's like that yo-yo dieting, or when we're going, I want to do the weight loss because I want it for my wedding or for an external thing or for external validation. It's always external.
Yeah.
So that's why it never lasts, because
No,
you're not actually
I couldn't
resolving.
wait to get to the wedding and go, I look fucking great in this dress. And now I'm going to drink shitloads of wine and stuff my face. Ridiculous. How ridiculous. But that was,
But I think that's why it doesn't last, because it's always an external thing, and that's probably why this time round it's been different for you, because you have. And as you said, it was a side effect. It wasn't something that you actively went in going, "Oh, I'm going to do
no,
this workbook and lose weight," because the workbook doesn't talk about losing weight. It talks about
no.
changing your inner beliefs about yourself.
It talks
Um,
about, yeah,
yeah,
learning to love yourself and
exactly.
developing self trust and working on you as a whole. And this has just been a happy side effect, a benefit that what it made me realize going through that journey, and a lot of, and because it steps you through all the different things, it made me talk about, or ask me questions like, what are the things that you wish that you could change in your life that you feel you've got no control over? and I felt I didn't have any control over my weight. It's like the final frontier. Like, I've been relatively successful in other areas of my life because I'm smart enough that I can apply myself and I can figure out solutions. But being smart, knowing nutrition, understanding what you've got to do with weight loss is not enough when there's all this
Mm.
emotional stuff going on underneath, and the detachment that I had in my mind and I knew what to do down to my soul, they were off in two different directions. They
Yeah.
weren't working together.
Yeah.
So my mind could control everything for a while through discipline and forcing,
And
but then
willpower. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and willpower. And then I would get exhausted and think, oh, fuck this. Why am I putting myself through it?
Gosh.
And I think this
And
is really common. I think a lot of
it
women in
is.
our age group feel this way.
And I think that's the thing, because when you look at it, so when you look at you're forcing yourself, because that's discipline, you've really got to discipline yourself to do that. And I know myself, when I force myself to do something, like I've been on diets in the past, and I've never been someone that I've never been a diet person. I've never been a yo-yo person, but I've done
No.
detoxes and things like that
Yeah.
to clean things out. And I've done the odd diet here and there where I've gone, oh, I'd like to see if this works. Like, I've treated it like an experiment, and I've always found that the I feel like I'm starving myself, and so.
Yeah.
So you've got to be really disciplined. You've got to use a lot of willpower. So again, and it's an external thing that's driving you rather than being inspired to make the changes you
Yeah.
want to make in your
Yeah.
life. I
It's just a
think that's
grind. It's a constant grind, and, it has the reverse effect, I find, and I've got another wonderful friend, I think I mentioned her before, that's lost 60 kilos. She did bariatric surgery, but my God, the journey she went through, the mental journey that she went through to get from being a person that was 60 kilos overweight to a person who now weighs 60 kilos and is a regular at the gym. The mental journey that she went on, it was about transforming her identity. And that's
yeah,
what she's done. And she's used that bariatric surgery as a tool to do that. But I've always been very nervous about doing bariatric surgery. And I actually did go on GLP-1s earlier in the year, sort of June time last year.
hmm hmm
And they start you on a dose of like a quarter of a milligram or whatever it is. I don't know, 0.25 of a gram. Then they take you up to half. And from half, and this is every month, from half, I think it might have been back in April last year anyway. I was on it for 3 months. From half, there's no 75.75. They just double it and take you straight to a gram or milligram, whatever it is. Must be a gram. I'm not very good with maths. Anyway, so I had no issues injecting myself with the GLP-1. And initially, when I first started taking it, my reflux was horrendous. It was awful. And the other thing is, suddenly I just completely lost my appetite. I lost my appetite completely at
when
half a
you were
gram.
on it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, at
Yeah.
half a mil, because I was just like, I'm not even interested in food. I had to literally force myself to drink water because I was that disinterested. And my doctor said, gee, you're having an incredible, amazing run with this. Like, you're doing incredibly well. And I think initially I lost like 4 kilos really quickly. And then when we went to the whole one of whatever it
One
is,
milligram. Yeah.
um,
Whatever it is.
yeah, the whole gram,
Gram.
whatever.
Gram.
Um, I don't even know. Whatever the fuck it is. That's how informed I am with my health choices. Yeah, you should really listen to me. Anyway, I trust my doctor. She's great because you know what? She went on it herself. She lost 20 kilos and she said, I'm going on it. I'm going on it myself before you choose to start. And I'll read all the data and make sure it's safe. Then she lost 20 kilos and I won't say she looks great. She looks thin.
Yeah. Because you can when you lose weight very quickly, you can get very gaunt. That's the
She
thing.
looks very wasted. She
Yeah.
moves very slowly, and she doesn't have that. When you get near people and they're fit and strong and they're kind of
Yes. Yeah.
vibrant, she doesn't have that.
Yeah, because that's the difference between losing weight and, like, say, if you're just dieting and you're not actually exercising and doing it in a healthy way, that's what happens. You look gaunt. You haven't replaced the
You
lost
lose all your
muscle.
muscle mass.
It's
Yeah, your body just eats itself.
yeah, pretty
Yeah,
much.
and that's long term not good in a lot of ways for your health either.
No,
Muscle is king. That will really put you into your old age and keep you well looked
totally.
after.
Mm.
But anyway, so yeah, so there was a few things I was noticing. And then anyway, so I went up to the 1 mil or whatever it was. And I remember the next morning I was driving somewhere in my car and I felt so ill. I think I was going to the shops or whatever. And I had to pull over in my car on a main road hoik my driver's side door open, and I projectile vomited across the
Oh,
fucking street. I just went, "Ah," and it was like something out of The Exorcist. I just went, "Ah," and I could not stop myself. I was so embarrassed, but I literally opened my car door and I just spewed all
wow.
across the road, and I couldn't stop. And then when it finally subsided, I mean, people were driving their cars past me going, "What the fuck is wrong with you, lady?" It was really embarrassing. Then I drove up the hill and I felt a second wave coming. So I raced around the corner and drove myself into a cul-de-sac, and then I puked all over the cul-de-sac. And that was it for me. That was it for me.
That is
I was
full on. That's really
I
full.
just went, "I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
That
That's
can't be good
torturing
for
the
my
body.
body."
Yeah.
No,
It's
because I wanna lose weight. I mean, after you go through menopause, I think it was our darling friend Rachel Vess said
Yep.
to us when we were in Brisbane,
Yes,
"All your fucks fly away with the estrogen." Good
they
quote,
do.
Rach.
They certainly do.
Very true. So, it's not about, I think weight loss as you get older for me isn't about impressing anyone. I'm happily married and my husband can't see whether I've gained weight or not. He seems to have positive body dysmorphia for me,
He
which I'm
just loves you
eternally
for
grateful.
that.
Yeah, I'm eternally grateful for that. But yeah, it's not really about what people think now. It's more about I want to be strong. I want to feel good about myself. I don't want to get around with a spare tire in my stomach that suddenly popped up because once I hit menopause, whatever I ate just went straight to my middle,
So
you know?
what do you think when you had that realization when you started the blueprint, the workbook, what was the realization that you kind of went, wow, I've noticed that my weight loss journey and my health journey has been so much easier or different? What was that realization? When did that come about?
It was weird because I did the workbook because I wanted to honestly get back into a successful groove again with my career. That was
Yeah.
my number one thing that I wanted to do because I've struggled in Tasmania. I've previously owned a very successful business. I've come to Tasmania and I've absolutely hated the working culture here. So whereas I was, successful in my role in New South Wales, I can't do it here. It's like coming to a totally different country, and I've worked it out that I don't align. So, that's just how it is. And I'm not the only one. I've had lots of conversations with people that feel the same way. So I thought to myself, well, what am I going to do with myself? And I was feeling really low and I was just feeling really, you know, kind of, I suppose you can get this way at middle age, just going, well, I'm middle aged, I'm old now, I'm over the hill, life is shit. Well, it's not shit. My life was still good. I've got a good husband. I live in a nice home. I've got lovely kids. I've got lots of great things going for me. So I've got nothing to complain about, really. And I have done fairly decent achievements in my life. So, but I was just feeling really like, oh God, is this it? You know, that's how I was
So
feeling, and
like you felt as if there was something missing, that there was.
something missing.
Yeah.
And I knew I didn't want to do any more therapy because I've done it. And it didn't give me all the answers I was looking for anyway. And so I was willing to entertain doing this workbook because I thought, oh, well, I know you well enough that you're a smart, switched on lady. There must be something to it. But I definitely did not
I'm glad
expect.
you entertained me though.
Of course. But I did not expect, I didn't realize that everything flows from in here. Like people talk about it all the time. They go, oh, whatever's inside will show outside. You go, yeah, 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 yeah. No one believes that until you actually do it.
Just do it.
And then you go, oh, fuck, actually. And it is effortless. It
It
is.
does work. Yeah.
I just couldn't believe it. So when I was going through, and because it links it all together, it's slow lessons, each one. uh, It really did. It was like the missing piece. I've always been very cognitive, very cerebral. I've studied a bit of psych and done a fair bit of criminology and that kind of things. All about the mind, all about, controlling the mind, understanding impulsivity. My God, I even worked with people on addiction when I worked in probation parole. A lot of people I worked with had addiction issues. I even used a lot of the practice guides that we used to have on myself around understanding where do we'll say to people with addiction, where do you feel the call of the drug in your body? With alcoholics, they might feel that they've got this craving in their throat and they love the feel, the way that the alcohol hits their
Yeah.
throat.
Yeah.
And when they sit with that in their body and think about it, it helps them to go, oh, okay, yeah, I recognize that, name that craving, and then you can choose not to do it. But again, it all comes down to quite a bit of discipline, quite a bit of willpower. When you shift from the addiction or whatever it is that you're after, whatever you use to fill that void, there's a void. The void that is there cannot be filled by relationships. It can't be filled by work. It can't be filled by money or your parents or whatever. It's got to be filled with you.
Yeah.
And then when I realized that going through the workbook, something switched in me that suddenly I was like, oh, hello, old friend. Okay.
Yeah, I remember
We're
you.
all
Yeah.
we're one. Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I remember you now. And I'm like, why would I put that shit in my mouth? Why would I eat that? Because I love myself. I love this body. This body's carried me through a shit ton of really interesting things in this life. And I'm hoping that it will do that again for another 40 odd years, fingers crossed. And it's within my power to take care of myself and nurture myself. And that was the thing that was missing. It wasn't about um, loving myself and cherishing myself.
Mm.
The identity I had was, you're just a fat kid masquerading as a skinny kid. And I recognized
Changing
that
that.
and went,
Yeah.
that's not my programming. That's someone else's programming. And I don't
Yeah.
need that anymore.
So, yeah, so you recognize the belief system and the programming that was actually playing out a pattern in your life and habits in your life. And then when you go, well, actually, that's not me. That's not who I
Yeah.
really am.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
letting that go. And then
Didn't
it
even
just
think to start there. Didn't even
yeah,
think to start there
yeah.
either. Wasn't even on my radar for weight loss. Was it terrifying to even put the first foot forward? I looked at that and went, oh my God, I
It's a good way
really,
to avoid, isn't it? Avoidance is like, geez, do I
oh,
really want to go into that?
I'll have
Yeah.
another glass of wine and I'll think about that tomorrow. And now I've had some wine, I'll have some cake. But then no, and then once I started doing it, I was like, wow. It was almost like my anxiety levels just started to
Dropped.
drop.
Yeah.
And and I also realized going through that process, and this is really sad, and I'll give a trigger warning if you've had a shitty upbringing like Eva and I have.
Mhm.
What I realized was food has been my one constant, reliable companion for my whole life.
And it
Isn't that
doesn't talk back
sad?
to you.
It was always there. Always gave me the same feeling when I was sad, when I felt alone, when there were no parents around or anyone to help me. I turned to food, and food would always give me the exact same dopamine hit. Salt and vinegar chips always taste the fucking same. Macca's always taste the same. It always hits that salty, yummy feeling on your tongue and makes you go, woo! Doesn't do that for me anymore.
Now, it's fascinating because that's one of the things that I noticed within the change, like when you start working on that internal relationship and reconnecting with who you really are at the
Mm,
core. And and it's funny when you're talking about that, all of a sudden you're going, I want to look after my body uh, because my body's looked after me all of this time. And even though it's, you may have had weight fluctuations. And I hear people say a lot about treat your body like a temple because it houses your soul. Well, I'm going to push it one step further. Your body is part of your soul. It's part of your,
yeah,
it's the same thing. It is your spirit in physical form. There is no difference between your soul and it. So this is just how it's choosing to express itself. And when that hits home,
yeah,
and I think that's what you were talking about before, when you had that realization and you go, oh, wow, okay, I'm no longer going to torture myself. I'm no longer
no,
going to put these bad things in my body because what I'm actually doing is causing damage to my soul. I'm causing damage to who
yeah,
I truly am.
yeah.
And when that realization happens, you start to respect yourself more and you
You
start to look
do, and
after yourself
you
more.
do, and you start to trust yourself because I could
Mm,
never trust myself previously. I mean, if you'd have put food in front of me, I would have gone, oh, just a little bit, just a little bit. And before long, I would have eaten that whole thing. We went out to lunch the other day, and I said, actually, I'd like a steak and a salad. And there was no option just to have steak with a salad. And when I say steak and a salad, I mean a nice piece of lean steak
yeah,
with a huge green salad, because that's what I like eating now, because I know that makes me feel good, right? So they brought me out a steak. It was nice. It was what I wanted. And then, but it was, and then a tiny little salad in a bowl, and the rest of the plate was, yeah, like that. The rest of the plate was chips, salty chips. Now the old me would have gone, oh, look, it's just once. Oh, well, I'll just have
yeah,
that. But the new me just went, oh, fucking hell, I don't want that. I ate my steak and I ate my salad, even though it was a bit crappy. And then I went, that's it, I'm done. I'm not eating those chips. And Joe goes, you don't want any chips? And I went, I just didn't feel like it. I just couldn't give a shit about it.
yeah. And I think that's the thing, you stop having the need for it.
The cravings were not
because you're
physical
not trying to
cravings.
fill that void anymore. As you said, the void has been filled. It's been filled with respect and appreciation and self-love and all of those types of
Yep.
things. And an
And I'm
understand.
forming my identity now
Yeah.
based on who I am as a grown up and who I choose to be. And I don't need my dad's voice and I don't need the monkey mind and I don't need anyone in my family to tell me or anyone I know to tell me, oh, you're just that fat girl. You'll always be fat because that's what I've heard all my life. I'm fucking not that fat girl.
No, you're
I'm
not.
going to be a lean, strong woman. I'm getting there every day. I'm going to the gym and I'm absolutely loving it. Even the days when I go to the gym and I think, oh, didn't do real well there. And then I go, oh, well, that's all right. I still went and I'll go in 2 days' time and I'll give it another crack.
Why not?
The
Yeah.
pressure's off. The
And that's
pressure's off.
and I think that's the thing. You don't you're doing it for the right reasons rather than doing it for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, I've got a trip planned at the end of the year. We're going to go to Europe for a while and I want to travel and be on that plane and not be worrying about deep vein thrombosis or stressing over my back aching or my legs swelling because I'm stuck in the air for 15 hours or whatever it is. And I want to be able to be strong and throw my suitcases around and get over jet lag nice and quickly because I'm fucking fit and I can charge up and down the steps in Heathrow and do what I've got to do and run around and be physically strong. And if I look good in a pair of jeans doing that, then that is just another fabulous
It's just a bonus.
side effect.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
That's fantastic.
And like I've got a goal. I've got a goal to lose another 10 kilos by April. That's what I would like to do.
Okay.
But I think that's probably a bit ambitious. But by the end of the year, I'd like to lose another 20 kilos. I think that's possible to do. But you know what? If I only lose 15, who gives a fuck?
It doesn't matter. I mean, because our bodies, as we age, our bodies change. They change dramatically at different stages of our lives, and 15 kilos today for you will probably be what 20 kilos was for you when you're in your 20s. It's
Yeah.
the body needs different things at different
Yeah.
times. It needs very different things, and that's what you've got to be mindful of. Which is, and I think a lot of women, possibly guys as well, but especially women, that we fall into that thing of, well, I want to look like I did when I was in my 20s, and that in itself is
It's impossible.
it's impossible because your body changes too much.
Yeah, you're not
and
20 anymore.
it's about looking like I'm in my mid-50s, so it's about looking the best mid-50s I can possibly be. I'm not trying to deny the fact that I'm in my mid-50s. I'm still going, yep, I'm in my mid-50s, but fuck, I want to look good,
Yeah.
And
I
I'm
wanna
going to
feel my
look good the way
best.
that my body needs to look good and how my body needs to feel and how it needs to express itself health-wise and what it needs for that. What supplements do I need to take? What exercises do I
Yeah.
need to do? What food does it need? That type of stuff. How much rest do I need? Because
Yeah, that's a
the
big
amount
one.
of exercise I do today is very different to the amount of exercise that I used to do when I was in my 20s. I could do 7
Yeah.
days a week, as in I need rest days now. I have
Yeah,
to have rest
absolutely.
days.
Absolutely. That's actually
Yeah.
a really important point because the other thing I wanted to talk about too for menopausal women, I did have really high cortisol. So I live with PTSD. It's mostly inactive, but that was from 20 odd years ago when I lost my daughter. Another trigger warning. We're going into heavy waters today. But yeah, so I live with PTSD, which means it's under control. But if I get stressed, I can get quite anxious. My body locks up. I get very tight, and my cortisol goes crazy. Cortisol interacts with insulin, and it makes you fat. It makes you hold on to every freaking calorie that you have, and it makes you crave sugar, and it gives you a fat face, and it does all kinds of things. And I've never had a fat face, and that really upset me as well. So I found with all of this going on, exactly what you said. It's about changing your methodology. As a 52-year-old woman, I will go and lift weights at the gym 3 times a week, and I will do it slowly, and it will take me an hour to get through 6 or 7 exercises, and I'll do that as heavily as I can manage, 8 reps, 3 times each. No more than that. When I was young, I used to smash out 15 reps on everything and go as hard as I could, or I'd do pump classes, which I loved. Fantastically good for you because it's a combination of cardio and strength. But I could not do those reps now. That would just make my cortisol go through the roof.
Yeah.
Right? So I don't do that now. I do my slow, nice, steady, heavy 3 times a week. In between that, I go swimming. with a kickboard and I hoon up and down with my fins on because that leans everything out. Unbelievably good for the lungs. And I feel amazing. And if I'm a bit sore, it gets rid of all the painful
Yeah.
muscle inflammation.
Yep.
So I've patiently been working this out since September. And also, I'd like to point out, we went to New Zealand, didn't we, in
We
September,
did.
late
We
September,
did.
October. Now, you guys were there for a week and you went and did your
2
thing after
weeks.
well, 2 weeks. That's all right. We hung out together for the first week. Then you guys went and did things. I was there for nearly 3 weeks. And Joe and I pigged out. We ate everything that we liked the look of, and we drank everything that we liked the look of. I put 2 kilos on in September, October. But I didn't give a shit because I just came back and went, it's fine.
Yeah,
And
get
I
back
just
into
started doing my same thing. Now, in the past, I would never have been able to do that. I would have gone, oh, I've blown it now. We're coming
Yeah.
into Christmas, whatever. What
Yeah.
difference does it
Just
make? And I would
let's keep
keep giving
going.
up. Yeah.
Mm.
But I don't
Yeah.
give up on myself anymore because doing the workbook has taught me that I love myself. I cherish myself. Doing the mirror work was absolutely incredibly challenging,
Confronting.
confronting, looking in the mirror going, I love myself, and going, no, you don't. Not at
Now I
first.
feel like a dickhead.
Oh, you fucking wanker. That's what my inner voice was doing. And then after a while, I went, oh, actually, I do. Now I think about it.
And how different do you feel when you can look at yourself confidently and honestly say to yourself, God, I love you. You're an amazing human being.
It's a complete transformation. I'm no longer going, I need this person, or I need this approval, or I need a glass of wine, or whatever. I don't need it. What I need is me to love me. And from there, everything else will flow.
And when we talk about love as well, again, it's not the vanity side of love of going, oh, I love, look how gorgeous I look and stuff like that.
God, no.
It's a
No, 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 no.
nurturing love. It's
Mm.
it's total feeling of I absolutely and utterly respect and appreciate who I am.
I'm my parent now.
Yeah.
I parent that little inner child in me because, with all due respect, I had pretty dreadful parents, and they didn't parent me at all. So I spent my whole life going from one thing to the next, looking for answers, not realizing the answers were in me the whole fucking time. God, I wasted a lot of energy. But now, thank God, I don't have to worry about that anymore.
No. And that's funny because that's what we do. We go searching for everything externally. And when really everything is internal. All you need to do is turn inward and start rebuilding and repairing that relationship that you've got with yourself. And
And
everything else around
it's
you
not
then
even,
starts changing. It's
yeah,
fascinating. And it's not that all of a sudden your environment will change. What it is the way that you look at it is different.
the way
And
you
you'll
show
see
up.
opportunities or things will happen that perhaps you didn't pay attention to before because you're looking for something else.
Your head's not full of
So
all the other bullshit that's going on
yeah,
either. You calm down and you go, oh, and I start. You know what? It taught me. It didn't even teach me. It just showed me how to look
woke
back at
you up.
myself and
It
woke
woke
me
you
up.
up.
It just
Yeah.
showed me how to do that. And then now I don't react. I respond. And that is so powerful. In the past, I would see an advertisement on TV and think, oh, that'd be nice to eat that. And I'd react. Now I don't even notice it. I just go, I don't care.
So if you had to describe then the shift that in one sentence that
God,
you found actually changed in your identity, what was that?
what changed in my identity, what the
Yeah,
shift
about you.
was.
So I don't know, you were saying before that you identified yourself as being a fat person and that was your father really talking to you.
You're
So
fatty. Yeah.
what was that change in your identity with that? What was the change in how you started to talk to yourself differently, I suppose?
I
That
saw
the blueprint brought out.
I saw who I really was,
Okay.
and I liked it. And even with my flaws, I got to see, absolutely blinkers off, not through anyone else's eyes, who I am. And I really do love myself, and I like me. I like me. And because of that, I'm going to cherish and care for and nurture me the same way that I would look after a best friend.
Love it.
So that's what changed for me. And I didn't even, and I'm not a sook, I'm a skeptic. And I've worked in justice. I've got a pretty hard head about different things. And I came into this going, all right, yeah, all right, I'll do the woo. Yeah, whatever.
I'll do the woo.
I'll do the woo woo. But
But the interesting thing is it's not woo.
It's not woo.
No,
It's
it's
not
not
woo.
woo.
It's actually
No.
science.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly right. There's no woo about it. I mean, yeah, unless you talk about reconnecting with yourself as woo, then yeah, okay, fair enough.
And it's funny. It's funny because when I first got together with my husband, I remember going to the gym and being lean the first couple of years, and I kept looking in the mirror at myself going, "Oh, Joe's gonna love this. Oh, Joe's gonna love how lean I look, blah, 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 blah." Now I look in the mirror and I go, "Oh yeah, yeah, things are changing, things are moving." And I think, I wonder what Joe will think. And then I think, yeah, he can think what he thinks, but I think this. And he loves it. Like, he's really encouraging me, going, "This is fantastic." But he couldn't care less because he loved me when I was fat and he'll love me when I'm skinny.
Yeah,
Not that I'm ever going to be
yeah,
skinny, but he'll
and
love
that's
me
the
when
thing
I'm
because
lean.
he loves you for who you are. That's the thing.
Exactly. And he's just
Yeah.
happy because I'm happy and I've got my spark back.
So, do you think your self-talk changed?
Yes, yes, yes. Hugely, hugely. And I didn't even realize before I did it how absolutely disgraceful my self-talk was. I didn't realize it. I think this is really common in women. We bash ourselves up on the
Oh,
daily.
totally.
We
Mm,
just beat ourselves to a pulp inside our own heads 24/7 because that's what we're told.
mm.
You know, all my life I've been told your personality is too big, you're too fat, pretty face, shame about the size of your ass. These are the things that people would literally say to me. At one point when I was in my when I was sort of in my young teen years, they used to call me Titsalina Bum Squirt
What?
because I had massive tits and a massive ass, which actually these days is really
It's quite
very out there getting
I was gonna say people go get
Titsalina Bum Squirt.
surgery for that shit.
It's terrible. I'm probably never going to live that down. I don't care. I'm bearing my soul today. But that's what they called me, you know. And these days, girls are getting breast implants and bum implants. I'm like, girl, I didn't need to do any of that. That was me. I was like,
You're already
woo,
there.
give me curves.
What? That's hilarious. I love that.
Yeah.
But interesting, going back to what you were saying about the self-talk, and you mentioned it earlier on too about wanting to become your best friend,
Yeah.
and
I'm my own best
or
friend.
that you are your own best friend.
Yeah, I am now.
And that's something that I always say to people. Do you talk to yourself like you would talk to your best friend?
Yeah,
Because
no one
we
does.
we don't. We talk to ourselves like we're our own worst enemy. We really, really give ourselves a hard time.
Yeah.
And that self-talk turns into belief and turns into patterns. And as you said, you're trying to all of a sudden fill a void
Yeah.
because you're bashing yourself all the time as well. And is it even your voice? In your case, it wasn't. It was your father's voice. And it's just really fascinating what we allow in and allow to control us. And again, the external validation, looking for all of that external validation and trying to fit
Yeah.
a mold that isn't who you really are.
And it's so painful when you have that emptiness in you that you don't realize that you're carrying around with that negative self-talk and what you're listening to. You're going, "Oh, I don't care. You don't care what people say," but it does hurt. You do care. People are mean, and people that you love in your life, they judge you and put you in boxes, and they make you feel like shit, even though they probably don't even need to, but they do.
Yeah.
But once you get to that stage where you reach that level of I love myself and my own best friend. Someone could literally walk up to me in the street now and go, "You're fucking fat," and I'd go, "I know, but I'm working on it."
Yeah, I'm doing something about it. So
And
what
you're
do you
fucking
think?
rude. That's what I'd say. Go, "Well, you're
Yeah,
fucking rude,
exactly.
but
Totally
at
agree.
least I can lose weight, dickhead." It wouldn't even bother me.
So what do you reckon were the clear signs for you that your relationship with yourself actually is different now?
um, well, I think my internal chit chat is gone. I used to
Yeah,
lay
okay.
there of a morning and wake up and go, right, I've got to make sure that I eat the right thing. What am I eating for breakfast this morning? I've got to go to the gym. How am I going to fit this in? How's my day going to look? And that was just constant, right? Now it starts the night before. I just go, okay, yeah, I'm going to the gym tomorrow. Oh, what day is it? Yep. Okay. It's every second day. And tomorrow we'll go swimming. And I'm just like, we'll go for a big swim tomorrow. Ribby will go knock out, K and a half or something. And there's no rush. There's no stress. I used to rush like an absolute maniac at everything. Life was so busy and I was just like, quick, quick, got to get it all done. Now I'm just like, I'll just get it done. I'm thinking about what I've got on tomorrow. Okay, I'll fit it in there. I'll give myself an hour. And then if I ever thought to myself, hang on, you can't fit that in, I'll just go, this is my time. I deserve my time. I'm not going to the gym to kill myself or hurt myself. I'm going to the gym to love myself. And I'm going to go in there and I don't give a shit who's in there or what's happening. I'm in my space, in my time for an hour, and that is for me.
Love
So I
it.
do it. It's the reward is actually it's no the food and the wine is no longer the reward. The reward now is going and how you feel after you've done it.
Totally. Totally. So what do you think besides the weight loss, what else do you think improved
My confidence,
your confidence? Okay.
but not my surface level ego confidence that I always used to have. That people go, "You're so confident." I'd be like, "Oh, probably, but not really on the inside." Now I've got a soul deep confidence that's just unshakable.
Love it.
And I've never had that before because whenever I've gone to be confident in the past, all of the other voices have come into my head going, "But you're not this and you're not that." And I've also had friends that I'll use that term loosely who like to try and bring me back down to earth. I used to have frenemies that I thought were trying to be helpful when they would say things like, "Oh, maybe you should change the way you do this, or maybe you should." But actually, when I look back on it, they were trying to undermine me and push me down. So yeah, my confidence has changed. I know my true north. I know my true north. There you go.
There you go. Okay.
Hmm.
And has that helped, like, so you were saying before as well that your anxiety levels have dropped, your
I've got no
cortisol levels have
anxiety.
dropped, so you're sleeping better, obviously, then because
I
of your
sleep like a champion. I've got
Yep,
no anxiety
there
at
you
all.
go.
Like my anxiety has gone from something that's always ever present. It's disappeared.
And cravings have gone as well.
I've got no cravings. I will point out that I've
I
changed
love
the
your
way I
work.
eat.
It's fantastic. I love your work. It's really cool. And
This
this
is
is
your work.
yeah, but what I'm saying is, no, I've just provided the basically the guidelines. You followed
Mm,
through and did the actual work.
yeah.
You went deep,
Well, yeah,
and this is what
because it
happens.
works. Once
This
I
is
could
what
see it
happens when
works. Yeah.
you consistently show up for yourself. You do the work, and you follow through, and that's what you did with the workbook. You consistently showed up, you did
Yep.
the work, and then you followed through. And
Yep.
this is what happens when you do
And there were
that.
days when I didn't feel like it as well.
Yeah. Well, of course. And especially when you're peeling off that onion layer and
Mm,
some stuff has come up that's come to the
it's
surface.
challenging. Yeah.
I don't know if I'm ready for this. And then you do the avoidance thing for a bit, but then you come back to it because you go, no, 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 I'm going to get through this. And yeah. So that's really cool. It just goes to show how much of that, when you do that internal work, how much it impacts all areas of your life. It's not just
Yeah.
one area of your life that it
No.
impacts all areas of your life.
And I didn't even do it for that
For
reason.
that reason, no. And
Yeah.
it's funny because a lot of people that I have had go through the workbook or who are currently going through the workbook um, have come in with a particular thing in mind that they want to work on. And they're finding that, yes, that's getting resolved or fixed, but they're finding all of these other benefits.
Yeah. Because
Because when we're
you're
talking
going to
about
the root
it's the
cause.
relationship with you. Yeah.
That's right. The root cause, the alignment within yourself. Once you align this and this,
Yes.
everything shifts. And
Totally.
effortlessly. Like I literally was saying to you, I remember in the workbook, I was saying, I don't know what I'm going to do because I don't want to work here. I'm unhappy working in this work culture and I'm not sure what I'm going to do money wise. And then suddenly my husband went, "Oh, guess what? Things have changed. Yeah, we're looking like you probably don't need to work at this time."
And
So,
it's
I
funny how
mean,
it shows up, doesn't it? It just shows up in other areas and you're kind of going,
I don't
like,
really
I wasn't
believe in
expecting that. I was
coincidences.
expecting this. It's like, wow. Okay.
That happened right after I'd done a bunch of forgiveness on myself and on other people. Because remember we talked about
Yeah, yeah,
forgiveness
yeah.
as an abundance
The
blocker?
forgiveness work. Yep. Yep.
Because I'm not big on forgiveness because I'm like, "No, fuck you, I'm not forgiving you." But actually,
It opens you up. That's the thing. When you forgive, it opens you
it
up.
allows the abundance to flow in.
It
It
does.
gets rid of those blocks. I didn't even realize it was a block like that. So, yes, my
Lots of
my guru,
realization.
I shall continue to learn.
And did you find the workbook was sustainable? Like, even though you may have had some plateaus here and there with that,
Yeah,
but you would have had periods, because I know, like, when I've gone through it, you hit a period, as you said, where it's bringing something up and you go, bit of the avoidance thing,
you
or
you do. A couple of them, yeah, bit
you feel
challenging.
as if you need to, okay, that was pretty deep. I need to go away and just allow that to percolate
Process,
and
yeah.
process it. Yeah.
Yep.
But was it sustainable?
It was effortless. Like, after about probably the 4th lesson, I really got some momentum and I was like, "Oh." And at that point, I think I'd stopped doing it to just try and complete the workbook because I said I was going to, and I'd made a commitment. At that point, it was like, I wanna know more. And there is nothing more liberating and more fascinating than learning who you truly are, because
Okay, I love that.
it is just
Yeah.
that's the ultimate. Nothing else beats that feeling. Nothing in the
I would
world.
totally agree with that 100%, and that is why I love doing the metaphysical work and I love doing personal growth work, because I find anything that I can learn about me fascinating. And when I say me, it's also the human race in general, because
Of
we all
course,
pretty
the
much tick
human
the same
condition.
way, you know,
Yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah.
yeah, and I
It is
just find it
fascinating.
totally fascinating. It's just and, and you unravel something and go, "Wow, I didn't even
I
realize
know.
that was playing out." And even after doing all of this work,
Yeah.
there's still things that will pop up that surprise you and you go, "Oh, look at
Oh,
that."
every day. Like, I mean, today I had another thing. I went, "Oh," but not in a horrible, bombarding me,
No, no,
exhausting me
you
type
don't
of
go,
way.
"Oh my god,"
No, no, no.
"I'm
It's
a
just your
horrible
brain
person."
going, "Oh, have you
Yeah,
ever thought of this?" Or your little subconscious goes, "No,
yeah, exactly.
that's
No,
a
I didn't
no."
do that.
Your
No,
body
'cause I was
goes,
too
"Oh,
busy
that's a
I was too
no."
busy looking over here.
Yeah, and your body goes, "This is no," and you start being present in your body going, "Oh, why am I feeling like that?" Like we've discussed. "Oh, okay, that relationship's not good for me," or I'll just back away from that a little bit. So, and anyone that has everyone looks at this sort of stuff. I mean, I did, and I went, "Oh God, yeah, righto." But honest to goodness, it was just, it's been the answer that I've been looking out for so many years. We all in the Western world work on our brain. We all look at psychology. We all try and understand that. The only time I ever really psychology ever really discussed any kind of spiritual or metaphysical methods was when it talked about brain scans of, Tibetan monks are different to those of normal people because they meditate so much. So the different centers of their brain are enlarged that can cope with stress a lot better than the average person. So that I thought, okay, so there is some science, there is some
Oh, there is.
connection.
There's quite a lot of,
There's actually a lot more
science
than that.
going on now,
Yeah,
yeah,
but
around
I would give it a
consciousness.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm on a journey now to lose another 30 kilos. I don't even have to question whether that's gonna happen. I'm just doing it.
That's
That's it.
So what is it when you find yourself getting slightly off track, what are the tools that you use to get yourself back on track?
Okay, so on Sunday, I had to drop my husband at the airport. I was starving and I was 2 hours from home and I grabbed a McDonald's burger
Mhm.
and I just went, "I just need to get something in my guts because 'cause I'm starving." And I just ate the burger and I chucked the chips because I'm so and the burger I didn't really even enjoy, and I literally was just going, "I'm just putting something in my stomach because 'cause I've got to eat." So I didn't get any dopamine rush, nothing. I didn't start thinking about that going, "Oh, I need to eat that again." It's almost like I just ate it because it was just fuel, and then, instead of beating myself up over it, I just went, "I got caught on the hop. It's all
Yeah,
right.
happens.
No one's perfect." And then the next morning, I just went to the gym and started again.
Yeah.
Didn't even start again, didn't stop.
No, because
Haven't
each day
fallen
is
off the
different.
wagon.
The thing, each day is different. Yeah, and exactly that. You haven't fallen off the wagon. It's like, okay, now tomorrow's a new day. What do we do today? This is what we
Yeah,
do today. And you're picking
and
about what you did
we
yesterday.
are biological organic creatures, right? So we don't start up here like a robot and steadily lose weight like that. That's not how we operate. We start up here and we go down and we might have a little plateau and then we come down again, might do a little bit of moseying around and then we keep going. But as long as the general gist is that you are still doing the things that you know will help you lose weight, you're managing it's look, it's 80% diet. It's 80% diet. I don't crave food anymore because the other thing I didn't realize is that I was so deficient in protein. Didn't
Right.
realize that.
Yeah.
Never was a big protein eater, much preferred carbs and veggies and things. So started eating like around 50 grams of lean protein morning, noon, and night, 3 meals a day. That's it. And everything changed. My hair is thickening and growing back. My skin has improved. My nails have improved. My hair doesn't fall down the sink anymore. And I
Protein's
think,
so important when you're doing,
yeah,
especially when you're doing weight, any form of weight workout. You need
yeah.
protein. Absolutely need protein.
Especially during menopause.
Oh,
Menopause, your
totally.
body
Yeah.
is stripping the protein and the muscle mass out of your body as we age. Let's not let it do that because that makes us weak and makes our bones weak.
Better not tell that to my body. It doesn't think that.
Yeah, but you've done heaps and heaps of
It's
working out all your life. You're fine.
so. What would you say to someone who is stuck in, say, that punishment or restrict cycle? You know, what's one mindset shift that you'd offer them? What would be that one bit of advice?
Firstly, yeah, I'm sorry that you're there because I know how hard that is. Just try something different because doing what I used to do over and over wasn't working. It doesn't work. All that other diet shit doesn't work. Try getting in touch with yourself and use a tool that will allow you to do that. Explore your inner world. And if you don't know how, ask Eva. She knows.
I know everything. Not true.
But I mean,
So,
it's yeah, easy. It's easy.
so if someone wants to do this work properly, then where should they start, and what should they expect?
We'll go and download the workbook. That's what I did.
Mm.
Yeah, it's literally $50, I think, isn't it?
Yeah,
$50 or
50
something.
Australian. Yeah, yeah.
Ridiculous. You should definitely. That thing's worth like $1,000. You should definitely increase the price. Um,
Thanks.
but then no one will be able to afford it. Download the workbook, and then if you get stuck, ask us. Or
Yeah.
if you want input, ask us because we're here. And then get excited because you'll just take off.
And what would you say to someone who's worried that it won't work?
Well, you don't know until you try.
Exactly. Yeah,
So what I can guarantee you is that if you keep doing the same shit that you've always done, you will never get a different result. So on one hand, definite failure. On the other hand, possibly failure if you don't do it properly. I know which side I would go.
absolutely. So, absolutely, yeah. Download the workbook, check it out. We do have the links provided in the description below. And please look, subscribe to our channel as well because we have insights like this all the time. We also talk about our own lived experience, and it's all about sharing and igniting the spark in you
Yeah,
so you can live a more purposeful and truthful, honest,
connected.
connected life.
Mm,
Yeah,
yeah, just feel good about yourself and enjoy life because life is meant to be fragrant. It's not meant to be just a massive slog all the way.
that's so true. And you can also find us in our Facebook community group as well, where you can come and join that and be part of a community. And we
100%.
share our short reels in there, etc. So yeah, please come along
Mm.
and be part of the broader family and the broader community. Remember to think beautifully and live brilliantly. Until next time, guys. Ciao.
Bye.
We'd like to say a huge thank you to our incredible audience for your continued support. Our mission is to ignite your spark, empowering you to be a beacon of light for others. We'd love to hear from you. So if you've got any questions that you would like answered in future episodes or just want to share some insights, connect with us on our Facebook community page. If you're looking for additional resources, go to our website. You'll find the link below. And remember, the absolute best way to help us grow is to share this episode with your friends and family and to subscribe to the Art of Beautiful Thinking podcast. So until next time, think beautifully and live brilliantly.